Montana wildlife officials say at least one bear attacked 3 people at a campground near Yellowstone National Park before dawn, killing 1 person and injuring 2 others. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks spokesman Ron Oshheim says a male died in the attack in the Soda Butte campground just east of Cook City. It was reported about 4 a.m. A female suffered severe lacerations from bites on her arms, while another male was bitten on his calf and taken to a hospital in Cody. Wildlife officials did not release the identities or ages of the victims and say they were sending a response team to piece together exactly what happened at that campground. After the initial report, authorities cleared the campground, telling campers to go to their cars and blocking off the area. Wildlife officials will not release much more information, but they say this was a very unusual attack and it could completely rewrite everything we know about bear attacks. Meantime, it is the peak of tourism season in Cook City, and dozens of campers were at the site of the attack. They say it was a very early morning. Ted and Connie Ehringer are traveling the country on their motorcycle.
We're passing through. We're in Yellowstone for about a week, enjoying the sights.
But Connie has one fear about the trip.
I had this fear of bears and being attacked.
On Wednesday morning, that fear became a reality.
I was awake when the park ranger came and he just said, "Is anybody in there?" And I said yes. And he told us, not in a real excited voice, but he said that 2 people had been attacked by a bear. And that they were informing anybody in a soft-sided tent about that. And I just got up and got clothes on. I said, "Let's get out of here."
When Connie said, "Let's get dressed and get out of here," I was all for it.
The bear attacked a camp just 2 sites away from Connie and Ted's, a little too close to comfort for Connie.
It was like my worst fear, I guess, coming true.
Officials closed the gates to Soda Butte campground shortly after evacuating. They're now allowing campers in one at a time to gather their supplies. And as officials leave out traps for the bear, Connie and Ted say they will plan their trips a little different in the future.
We'll think twice about where we camp, I guess, and just be very careful.
And officials say the investigation is expected to last for the rest of the day. It has now been 3 days since the bears ransacked a Cook City campground. In the days since the attack, we have learned much more about the victims.
I felt the tent just fly 2 to 3 feet, and this giant thing was on my leg.
21-year-old Ronald Singer of Colorado was the first to be attacked early Wednesday morning.
There was no noise, no warning.
Singer says he scared the bear off by hitting it in the head.
This is not a free meal.
The sow and her 3 cubs moved on to a tent a few sites away, where 58-year-old Deb Friel of Ontario was sleeping after a long day of fishing. The bear latched onto her arm.
I couldn't believe the strength of this animal. I knew I was going to die. I mean, that certainly was going through my head.
Friel says she knew her only chance of survival was to play dead. When she did that, the bear moved on.
I just went into survival mode. I thought I had to survive for my kids.
The mother bear inexplicably moved to a 3rd tent and this time killed. The body of 48-year-old Kevin Kammer of Grand Rapids, Michigan was found 25 feet from his tent.
And that bear attacked other people as well as my brother-in-law. They survived, fortunately, but he did not.
I've been having a hard time dealing with that today.
Kammer, like Friel, loved to fly fish. Jim Howard says his brother-in-law was living out a dream with a trip to Montana.
Tragedy occurs and can occur at any time. I think it's important for us to pursue what we love to do, even if there's the chance of tragedy. Of course, looking back, you'd say, "Gosh, I wish I hadn't gone," or "We wished he hadn't gone," but he could have just as easily been hurt in Grand Rapids.
Kammer, a gardener, avid fly fisherman, church volunteer, and family man, will not be coming home. But Howard says he touched many lives.
He was a wonderful father and a wonderful husband, and I was proud to have him as a brother-in-law. We're going to miss him.
3 campgrounds in that area remain closed. Officials say Chief Joseph and Coulter campgrounds could reopen as early as next week, but the Soda Butte campground, where the attack actually happened, will undergo, quote, intense management review, unquote, to determine if it will ever reopen.
Sarah, have authorities caught all the bears, and what's the latest on that front? Yeah, Mike, we actually just got an update. Officials caught all 4 bears. It was a mother bear and her 3 cubs. We did just get an update that they did confirm that the DNA matched and that the mother bear has been put down. As far as the cubs go, they still don't know exactly what they're going to do with them. Wildlife officials in the state tell us they hope to get them in zoos across the country so they do not have to put those bears down.
Have any idea why this mama grizzly would attack, what the reason would be?
Well, there have been several rumors, but that's really why this story is making national news and why you're talking to me. Honestly, there is no explanation. And I was one of the first reporters on the scene, and wildlife officials told me they warned me, they said, this is going to rewrite everything we know about bear attacks. There was no food left out. It does not appear that she was protecting cubs. And that's, again, why this is making such national headlines, because it was so rare and unusual.
Gray, weigh in on that fact. I mean, how rare, how unusual is this, and why would mama bear attack like that? Okay, Gray, Sarah, guys, thanks so much.
It has now been 6 days since a mother bear and her 3 cubs attacked a campground near Cook City, killing 1 and injuring 2 others. Wildlife experts say tests on the euthanized bear responsible for the attack provide few details about the reason for that attack. They say she was underweight, but not malnourished. Shortly after putting the bear down on Friday, wildlife officials conducted an exam on the sow responsible for killing 1 man and injuring 2 others at a campground near Cook City.
Didn't find any injuries or obvious signs of illness, tumors, that sort of thing.
Ron Osheim with Montana's Fish, Wildlife and Parks says they did find one thing of note about the mother bear.
It weighed about 225 pounds and it was 10 plus years old. That is light for a bear that age.
A bear that age should be about 300 to 400 pounds. The bear also still had her winter coat, but officials say her weight was probably not the reason she attacked.
Just not sure that was a contributor. We're not suggesting that is the cause. We're still looking for answers.
Answers, they say, may never be found.
We may never know, Sarah. I think that's the bottom line.
Osheim adds there is plenty of food in the area and other bears there show no signs of malnourishment. And officials are still waiting on results from tissue samples taken from the bear, but they do not expect anything unusual. The U.S. Forest Service, meantime, is reopening Coulter and Chief Joseph campgrounds today. They say they are still not sure if or when they will reopen Soda Butte campground where the attack occurred.